Well, that was a very, very interesting second day of July yesterday, wasn't it? It's the 3rd of July today. Good morning, everybody. This is Forever United TV, and things are hotting up in Manchester United's transfer department. Whether it be good, whether it be bad, there's a lot going on. Manchester United pivoting across to a midfielder, maybe. Douglas Luiz and Richard Rios. Hot topic at the moment. Fabian Ruiz, though. I'll have my words on that, and I'll have my opinion on that one as we go forward. But it looks like Richard Rios and Douglas Luiz. More Douglas Luiz talk than ever at the moment. We're going to get into that this morning and get through everything that's been said from the Italian side of things. It does involve Jadon Sancho. Romano has also backed up the Jadon Sancho stories from yesterday as well. So we are really moving forward now with the Jadon Sancho stuff. We're going to get into that as well. We're going to talk about Garnacho, an interesting fact that Manchester United's transfer approach and stance on Marcus Rashford has going forward that might help him move a lot easier as well. Midfield options all over the place for Manchester United, including one of Ruben Amorim's former players as well. Yes, there is that also on everything else. And to start with, quickly, let's just go now and get into what I said last night. If you haven't watched my reaction to the Mbeumo news, quickly, first of all, from last night, here it is. Basically, right now, my opinion on Bryan Mbeumo and where we're at. I was just looking at it last night. I read through everything. I've listened to what was said. I did the video last night, get my instant reaction on Mbeumo and all of the detail on that. I want to move on to other subjects this morning. But quickly, before we get started on that, I am now concerned, and I'm not concerned because Manchester United are not prepared to go through with what they've already put down and trying to make something happen. Something seems to have changed in the transfer situation with Bryan Mbeumo from Brentford side. That's all I can see. If they are, like Laurie Whitwell said from The Athletic last night, pushing for that 70 million, this deal is off. This deal is not going to happen. Brentford have changed something behind the scenes here by the sounds of it. They have all of a sudden decided that this is something that we are going to now do. We're going to try and charge more. It is a made-up story from Brentford, and they are pushing this to a point where this deal is not going to happen. Proof that Spurs did not actually bid 70 million is in the fact that they've just had 50 million turned down for a bid for Mohamed Kudus. That's where Spurs are in. Daniel Levy has not bid 70 million. Brentford are playing a dangerous game here, and this is why I fear they may have overstepped the mark with Manchester United. Look, this could all change and we could sign him. I hope that is the case. But these stories coming about have just got me a little bit more concerned now with this deal. Something behind the scenes has changed. So I'm 50-50 at the moment whether this actually happens anymore, just because of this change and this pivot from Brentford's approach to this pricing. Like, where has this come from? All of a sudden, it seems to have completely changed. Anyway, if something does come out while we're live, we'll talk about that. My views on Bryan Mbeumo are on the video later on, so you can go watch that in full detail of everything that's happened with that bid on the video after we finish this live. Of course, because you want to be involved in the live chat, don't you, everybody? You want to be involved in this show this morning, so get your live comments in, please, everybody. If you are playing catch-up, you just need to get your comments in below when the video is finished as well. Give me your thoughts. Loads of you have piled in over last night. It was an interesting one. And Rasmus Højlund more likely to leave. I said last night in the show, in the video, like, what the hell did that come from? What's going on? Everything seems to have taken a complete 180 in Man United's transfer situation at the moment. But the midfield situation is definitely picking up speed. Whether that is because United might not be buying a forward now all of a sudden, like we just said, I don't know. But Jadon Sancho's situation has definitely opened up an avenue for Manchester United. Yesterday, we talked about Manchester United looking at options to maybe trade in with Jadon Sancho. Then later on in the evening and later on the latest show, we looked at Manchester United standing their ground and wanting 25 million. Whichever way this goes, Manchester United look like they're getting down to the bottom end of seeing the back of Jadon Sancho. That's all that matters realistically in this. Whether it be with a player coming the other way, whether it just be cash for Manchester United to go out and buy who they want. That's why we're leading with Douglas Luiz and Richard Rios, because if Manchester United, I feel like this is the way they might go with this. But after what Andy Mitten said last night, I can totally see the legs in the story for Douglas Luiz with this. So Italian reports are reporting again this morning that Manchester United do like Douglas Luiz. They have gone into detail into what is happening, his injury record from last season. He's a player that they like. Why? Like Andy Mitten said last night, you're not going to see a window of players coming in to Manchester United that don't have Premier League proven experience or are not ready to go. That's a That's a definite. Andy Mitten has said that. He's come out and said that last night. And you can see why Man United are going for Ollie Watkins. He was using the Watkins transfer as the obvious example to that. And you can see it because you obviously with Mbeumo, with Cunha, you've got Watkins in as well. You're not worried about players settling in if you're buying players like this. Douglas Luiz falls into that category again. And Manchester United's approach to Douglas Luiz is because he's got the Premier League experience, because he could be gotten easy under Manchester United's wage structure comfortably as well. He's still 27. Obviously, there isn't much in terms of sell-on, but United can get Douglas Luiz cheap. They could get him in with Jadon Sancho and not have to spend a penny and bring someone in under lesser wages. Look, I think ideally Manchester United want to sell Jadon Sancho outright. 25 million. You've then gathered 30 million at the back end of Jadon Sancho's contract off the back of his time at Chelsea and selling him on to Juventus. That would be a brilliant transfer transaction for United, particularly when we spent 75 million at the start. He's seen out 5 years. We've gone to the last year and we've got 30 million back for him. That's a good deal for Manchester United. That is very good business, considering we actually made money on him last season as well from Borussia Dortmund, which was round about 6 million in total with the bonuses and everything else that were included before he signed for Chelsea. Manchester United could have actually recouped in terms of transfer fees over 35 million, 36 million quid for Jadon Sancho, which isn't bad going considering. And from where we were, with the fallout from Ten Hag, it looked like this was never going to be a case from United, but good business. Romano, by the way, just backed up the Jadon Sancho talks, and definitely Juventus moving closer to finding some form of agreement with Manchester United and Jadon Sancho. But Romano also said that there are other clubs that have now touched base with Jadon Sancho's representation. Juventus isn't a last resort deal. There are other clubs that could be in. Fenerbahce, not one of them, though. That was clear from what Romano said. But other clubs are interested in Jadon Sancho. So we do look like we're in the realms of positivity and a deal coming to a close for Jadon Sancho. Hopefully. God, that would be amazing for Manchester United. Like we were saying last night, that could be absolutely huge. But Douglas Luiz off the back of that, I just think, again, and Andy Mitten, like I said, his words just ringing in my ears. United looking for Premier League proven players and players that can actually come straight in and do a job for Ruben Amorim. They're not messing around this transfer window. I think Ruben knows the amount of young players that are coming through that need time. These players will give them younger players time. We're not going to be thrusting in 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old players from the academy because we're desperate and we need players in. No, we cannot do that. That tactic hasn't worked. Yes, United will buy younger players. We will bring them through. But United are not going to be spending fortunes, I don't think, on young 20-year-olds unless they are the absolute dog's taters and they are coming straight into the side. And that's what United, I think, are doing right now. They're bringing in players that they know are going to work this season. And all of these players that we've spoken about, whether it be Mbeumo or Cunha or Watkins or Douglas Luiz, if you actually did bring in Luiz from these reports and what's being said, and you somehow managed to scrape together what was necessary to get Ollie Watkins, and you do manage to get the Bryan Mbeumo deal done, that there with them 4 Prem-proven players in Man United's side would be a different ball game altogether for Manchester United. But the Italian reports are saying, and you can see it going across the bottom of your screen there, that the profile of Douglas Luiz, and the profile has been something big within the recruitment side for Manchester United this transfer window so far. The recruitment side have looked at the profile, they've looked at his injury record, they have done some research into this. I was reading out a report, I think it was around about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, there is concerns about Douglas Luiz from Manchester United on his actual his injury record from last season. I think he missed 20 games through injury last season, which isn't good. But then again, with no travelling, with just Premier League football to come, if you can get the player very cheap, which United feel like they can do, then Douglas Luiz coming in a rotation for just the Premier League next season between Ugarte, Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes, that gives you enough room to say we've got enough here to get up there into these European places next season. Then next summer when Casemiro leaves, I've said this before, it just makes sense. United could bring in an even better midfielder on top of that. And we haven't overspent on Douglas Luiz. But I feel like United are looking at it that way personally. I'm concerned about Douglas Luiz's injury record. I am. 20 games, that gives me a little bit of Mason Mount sort of phase in terms of Manchester United not actually getting the right type of deal or indeed the right player. But Douglas Luiz, as an example, against, say, Mason Mounts, yes, you could talk about the injury record. Yes, you could talk about a player that isn't wanted by another football club. But what you can actually say is, in this one, which is different, is he's very cheap. He has got Premier League proven qualities, and United don't have a lot of games to play. Look, I'm only making a case for this story that's coming out here. I'm not saying this is my preference. I would rather United get the money for Jadon Sancho and go and spend it on a player that they want to spend that money on. I don't want to be forced into taking Luiz because it's the only way we get Sancho out. I understand the situation and I've explained it in detail as to how that's come about. I wouldn't want it that way. I want the money. I would take the money. And for that, I think it's a win for Manchester United. And I think that gives them confidence going into the other deals that they need to make this summer, because having that much money, 30 million off Jadon Sancho, that goes an awful long way for Manchester United, because that's that wage off the books and money in the bank for Jadon Sancho. Yes, you've got to pay out that last year of his contract to make an agreement there, but that can be sorted easily and you still got change. The biggest thing is, and we were at a point before where we were saying, let's get Jadon Sancho out on loan and take a loan fee just to get his wages off the book. Look, Manchester United taking any profit out of this last year of Jadon Sancho's contract is a massive win. A massive win. It gives us a lot of room, and then we can decide what we want to do with that money and what position we want to go for. Whereas if Luiz comes in, then you obviously covered that position. You have to be 100% certain that he is the player that you want. Just to get rid of Jadon Sancho and bring Luiz in because of that isn't an ideal scenario for United, I don't feel. But you still look at Luiz as a good player. Would we be looking at Luiz if we did sell Jadon Sancho separately? Would he be a player that Manchester United were looking at? Well, if the reports are right and they're saying that that the profile of Luiz is what United are looking for, then maybe we make this deal happen with Luiz and swap him out for Sancho to make this go a lot smoother. Because if it is a player United have been looking at, then why not go for Douglas Luiz if this is the right man? Look, that's what the club know, and we don't at the moment. We're obviously taking in the stories and what's going on. We'll move on to Ruiz. Move on to Richard Rios in a minute as well. Would you still expect United to push on for Mbeumo with the reported 70 million requested? That's the poll running right now. Do you think United would go to 70 million if Brentford have changed their tact on this one and just gone, no, we now decided that we want 70 million? And they've strung United along for, 4 weeks now, plus a month now, in fact, into the negotiations of Bryan Mbeumo. And now we're talking 70 million all of a sudden. Do you think Manchester United should push forward? Do you expect United to push forward if they have been told this deal is now 70 million all of a sudden? Get your votes on that poll right now. We're already creeping up to nearly 1,000 votes on that, so please do contribute on that one, everybody. 44% of you have said yes, 56% no at the moment. That's my concern at the top there that I was talking about with the show when I said I don't know where this deal is going now. I'm not as confident as I was with the Bryan Mbeumo deal. There's something changed behind the scenes that United are dealing with. And like Laurie said last night, we have got until Monday to sort this out. The clock is ticking. 4 days until we find out whether Mbeumo's a United player or we walk away and we spend money elsewhere. This is where United are probably looking at right now. Maybe there's work going on behind the scenes to bring in another player. And they've actually already decided that they're not going for Mbeumo. I think we're still going to go for him personally. But that story last night definitely threw a spanner in the works. And they are definitely concerning a few people right now, Brentford, with their approach. I think one of them mainly will be Bryan Mbeumo. That dream move looks like it could be scuppered by his club at the moment. Amazing progress with the channel, Adam. Well done. Thank you, Huggles, for renewing that membership, mate. Absolutely love that. 19 months a member. What a legend. Raws with the super chat. How many years is Mbeumo signed for? Can United pull a Madrid and ask him to wait his contract out until we get him on a free? To answer that question, he has got 1 year left, but unfortunately for Manchester United, Brentford, the slimy sods, have got a year extension if they wish to trigger it. And that's up to the club. So unfortunately, Bryan Mbeumo could be stuck because he's got 1 more year left, and then you could maybe say, yeah, we'll take him at 26. Sorry, we'll take him at 26, 27 for nothing, and then teach you a lesson. Next season, they could just go, no, year extension, and then he's got 2 years on, and then he's into the 28s, and he's stuck there. There will be a fallout between Brentford and Bryan Mbeumo if they don't make this happen, I don't think. They're talking right now like everything's amicable. Bryan Mbeumo wants his move. He's at a stage of his career where he's given enough to Brentford, and if they did try and do something like that, then that would end that relationship. I cannot see this. I cannot see this lasting past a year. I honestly feel Brentford are ruining this whole deal for themselves and the player that probably has already decided he's away from Brentford, and where's his attitude going to be next season if they scupper this deal. No one's going to pay them 70 million. No one's bid 70 million. That's the problem we've got. I'd argue Rios is the smarter buy personally in terms of the transfers, says Ant. On Rios as well, we're going to get onto that in a moment. When it comes to the midfield options, Richard Rios is definitely a target for Manchester United because he's cheap, because there is a chance you could get him for, I think it's around about 20 million quid. Experienced, obviously, over there in Brazil. And obviously, again, that's not Premier League proven, but at the right price, at 25, I think this is why Manchester United are looking at him. Again, a ball-carrying number 8 who is strong, who is quick, and has got amazing qualities. I think they're looking at him as a definite option right now. And I think it was Alfredo Padula who has said yesterday even, and a couple of days before that as well, over the weekend, that Rios is a 100% target for Manchester United. But he is shining, obviously, in the Club World Cup, and there are other suitors for him. There are other clubs that are also in for him. That's what United are up against when it comes to Rios. So, him, I feel, I would like him. I do. I just, for some reason, now, after what's been said, I don't think United are going to go for him. I think they would like him and another midfielder, personally. I do think they would if they had the opportunity to go and buy Douglas Luiz and Rios. That's what I think would happen if United had the right amount of money in there, but they don't, and they have to be picky, and they have to prioritise what they actually want out of this actual transfer window in terms of midfield options, because we do want a number 8 in. It has to be that athletic, energetic player running forward, and Rios does fit that bill. He is that profile of player. Whether or not United could get that 20 million deal done, he does have a release clause, which is some stupid amount of money. I think near 85 million, I think, was reported for Rios. But Manchester United know, and a few other clubs know, that there is a separate deal on the cards. How that's come about, I don't know, but it's there. It's there on the cards, and Manchester United are all over this and are looking into it. And the reports are gathering momentum and gathering pace. And now that he's obviously had his stint over in America in the Club World Cup as well, he's only enhanced his reputation more than anything. But again, it comes back down to Manchester United actually picking between a Prem-proven player who they've got an issue with his injury record, or an unknown player in Rios. That, I think, is what Manchester United, I feel, we would go for Rios if we got Mbeumo. I think they want a good core of Premier League players in there, and that can help someone like Rios actually adapt a little bit easier. Look, I'm not saying that he's not going to adapt anyway. If, say for instance, you've got Casemiro now, who's bundles of experience in the Premier League, Bruno Fernandes. There's plenty of players there that can help him that are already Premier League proven. I get that, but if you've got a main 11, which are all going to be Prem proven players that are just going to come in of the better quality than what we've already got, that is going to help him a little bit more, I feel, more than anything. So, yeah, Rios, I think Douglas Luiz is ahead of him personally, but they are both being spoken about now. So let's see what happens on that one. But moving forward onto the Jadon Sancho again, just quickly before we finish up on this whole midfielder Juventus type of thing. Manchester United are expected to receive an offer this week for Jadon Sancho from Juventus, with talks ongoing and positive talks actually going forward now. So that, I think, is definitely the biggest positive of the week so far. If anything, we could still be seeing the back end of Jadon Sancho. Right, let's get into some comments on this one, on everything we've spoken about so far. Piling on anything. I don't think Brentford wants 70 million. I think it's United putting it out there. Brentford wants 70 million when we get and pay 60 plus 5 in add-ons. I don't think it is, mate, at all, Alan. This has come from Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic. It's not a crap source or a made-up story. This is actually genuine because they are saying that there has been a bid from Spurs. It's been put out there that a bid there has come out from Spurs, and Spurs have said no from people asking them. So it's not made up by United. Otherwise, United would have had this deal done. United would have had this done. I don't agree with that at all. Rios could play out of butts. Another gamble and no experience in the Premier League. 70 million is ridiculous, but it means that a Glazers sell up and then spend 100 million on Mbeumo, says Bobby. Not too sure what that means. Nick says, why have a disgruntled player in the squad? Brentford are causing problems in the dressing room. Look, whichever way this goes, they'll have to deal with the aftermath of it, I think. Just sell the player for the right price, which is what's on the table right now. Everybody moves forward and they can rebuild their squad. At the moment, they're turning this into an unnecessary saga, I feel. They're trying to take advantage of Manchester United. Mr. Dacius Sandero says 70 million for Mbeumo. That has jumped up, hasn't it? Holding us to ransom. We need to come up with a compromise here. A deal with targets included. That price is about 20 million too high for me. It's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for a player. And United are not willing to pay that. No one is willing to pay that amount of money. You're not going to get Arsenal come in all of a sudden and pay that money. Tottenham won't do it. Like I just said, Tottenham have just had a 50 million bid turned down for Mohamed Kudus from West Ham. So you can see where their budget is straight away. It just absolutely pours cold water all over this fire that is Tottenham have actually been in for Bryan Mbeumo. It just sounds like it's complete and utter made up crap. Whitwell said he didn't say he was 70 million. He walked back what he puts outright. It's well known Spurs never bid. Yeah, no, what they're doing here is in his eyes, and I did see what Whitwell said in coming back to one of the aggregator accounts on Twitter, actually, Daniel. He didn't say he said it like that. He didn't say it exactly like that. There has been this talk around that Spurs have made this bid, and that bid was that 70 million mark. That's already been put out there. It's been well known, and I've said it out here as well, that Spurs have not made a bid. I didn't believe they made a bid. But all of a sudden, this story's come about that Brentford, behind the scenes, are trying to get more money off some other clubs bidding for him. In fact, even if you said there wasn't a bid for 70 million, it doesn't matter. What matters is nobody has bid for Bryan Mbeumo apart from Manchester United. So Brentford are trying to build up this invisible bidding war that does not exist. That's the problem that you've got in this, and this is what United are against. This deal will get done, I feel, if it does get done, for 65 million. The fact that we're now on to Thursday and the week is nearly over is why I'm concerned about this. What the hell has been discussed for the last 3 days with Brentford that they're not accepting or not happy with? It's ridiculous how it's got to this stage now. Like, this is where I said I would start to get a little bit anxious and a little bit worried about what's happening with Bryan Mbeumo. But this, honestly, right now, I said just at the start of the show there, I think this has now got a 50-50 chance. I would not be surprised one bit if Man United walks away at this point now. I wouldn't. But that is something that hopefully we find out over the next few days. Hopefully we get something today. Something concrete has to happen soon, one way or another. Even if Mbeumo was willing to wait and he did only have a year left, Amorim will still sign another 10 this summer. It's happening. Depends who that 10 is. Obviously, Semenyo signed his deal at Bournemouth now as well. Let's see what else we've got here before we move on. Just getting a few more comments in. We would have to sign Mbeumo 3 weeks ago if we just would have offered 62 million in the first place. Look, David, that might not be the case. At the moment, they're looking for more. They want more than Cunha. 62 million isn't going to get this deal done. That's what we do know. So, David, that doesn't really work out on that one. Sorry, mate. They want more than Matheus Cunha. That's been clear from what everybody's said so far. The bid is above 60 million, but it's still not more than Matheus Cunha. It's going to be 65. It could go back to what Rudy Galletti said 2 weeks ago when we covered it, when he said this deal is going to be 65 million. It's just a case of negotiating the add-ons and how they get that money and how much is in instalments and how long the instalments are over. That's what we thought was being negotiated. But the story from last night, yeah, that's the concerning one, simply because for me, this came out of the blue and this wasn't expected. The poll right now, 1,200 votes on. Do you expect United to go in still if the reported 70 million is what Brentford want? And at the moment, 45% of you are saying yes, 55% no. That's kind of a tight split, isn't it, that one? It is. Good morning to anyone who is just joining us as well. Get your comments into the live chat. If you haven't already, please get your likes in. We're creeping up to our 500 usual morning mark, which is great. See if we can beat that today. If you haven't already, please pop a like on the video if you're enjoying the content. And of course, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. We're getting closer and closer to the 89,000 mark on the subscribers now. So let's see how close we can get to that 90k. Hopefully. We are going to get there before the start of the season. I'm pretty confident with the way that you're all going at the moment. But yes, thank you again, everyone. Right, let's move on to other stories that are going on right now. We've covered Douglas Luiz and them talks. We'll see what happens with that today. Richard Rios, I think, is in the background. So we'll see how that develops. Obviously, Bryan Mbeumo's saga will develop now. All of this that we talked about there, I think we could have a bigger understanding of by the time the weekend comes. So stay tuned is what we're saying right now. There could be news dropping at any moment on all of these deals. Moving on to a story that came about on Marcus Rashford yesterday, which was obviously what we covered the last couple of days. Rashford's potential move to Bayern Munich or to Barcelona, whichever way it goes. Manchester United right now are in a position where they want a transfer fee. And I was saying, just accept the loan. Get Rashford out of here. Go with what you think. But another story has come about, actually, which I was reading this morning, in fact, of Manchester United willing to pay some of Marcus Rashford's wages to get him out of the door. So, I don't get how this works. They want the actual transfer fee, 40 million for Marcus Rashford, and they're willing to pay some of his wages to get it. I don't get how that happens. He could be contracted into another football club, and Manchester United are willing to pay a bit towards that for the time of the contract, or is it a certain time of the contract? This is a strange one for me because I don't see how this works, but it is an actual story doing the rounds at the moment. And it's come from Mick Brown, actually, the former scout from Manchester United and former employee of the football club, who has done a lot of talking recently on United. But according to him, people at Manchester United would be willing to pay towards Marcus Rashford's wages to get a transfer out of Manchester United. Seems very unrealistic to me, to be honest, and I don't get how that works. I would have to look more into that. Again, this summer has brought up some weird-ass scenarios and different situations and permutations with contracts and players leaving the football club. But again, this I think is all part of Manchester United's need to move players on and what they're willing to do. We've all asked the question, how far are United going to go? How much of a loss are they going to take just to get rid of these players? I was fully on board with Marcus Rashford leaving on loan. I think that's still how it will happen. I don't think Marcus Rashford is going to be sold for 40 million. I don't know who would buy Marcus Rashford for 40 million. I really don't. And they cannot afford his wages. If they're going to spend that much money on him and Rashford wants to keep his wages, there's no way someone is going to pay that for a 27-year-old who really has not been in good form. Let's be honest. But if United are willing to pay towards the wages of him, again, I'll wait and see if that comes about. And let's see if anything is manufactured or put together and Manchester United do contribute in a way. I don't see how. It's a crazy story, but United from this, and the main point from it is, United still want that transfer fee for Marcus Rashford. And we are being as stubborn as other clubs at the moment on the other side of things in this window. And I think because we are, nothing has got done. We're not willing to accept low-ball offers, which is good. But at the same time, we have to then accept that not much is going to happen very quickly in this window. And that's what this fan base are losing patience with. Because United are negotiating and trying to get the best deals possible, we are losing time in the window day by day and nothing is happening. And that's the frustration amongst the fan base. All of a sudden in this window, United could get 2 or 3 deals done quite quickly because they've obviously got their hands in so many different pies right now in the window. They've got the Rashford situation, obviously Sancho, Garnacho, who we'll talk about in a moment as well, Mbeumo. And then you're looking at Douglas Luiz, like we just said, probably Richard Rios. There is so much going on right now. All of a sudden, we could get a few deals all done quite quickly, close together, and it not look as bad. But as these days go on, the stress is going to mount, and people are wondering what's actually going on behind the scenes at United. So I think we're actually in a world where it's the uncertain which is hurting us right now, because this is a real challenge, this transfer window for Manchester United. And we are in a tough spot when it comes to getting these deals done at the right price. How far do we go? How long do we wait before we start accepting other offers? How much do Manchester United sacrifice just to get Ruben Amorim what he needs? That's been the question all along. And at the moment, United are not sacrificing anything. They have got what they want. They have got what they need, basically, in their targets, and they're not budging from them. This is proven in the Bryan Mbeumo situation. This is proven in what we're dealing with Jadon Sancho right now. They're not accepting low ball offers. They're not going to be taken for a ride, and that's the stance, and that's what it seems like it's going to be throughout this window. I don't think that can stay the same forever and a day. I don't think that's going to be sustainable throughout. There's going to be a point where they have to make a decision. And this is why I think they've got to work quite early. I think this is why the June window opening up for us this summer has helped Manchester United a lot. But the problem we've got is, obviously, Ruben Amorim wants his team in for pre-season. He's not going to have it. He's not going to have it. Right? As it stands at the moment with Antony, Garnacho, Rashford, Sancho, obviously Mbeumo, all the only difference this pre-season is that Manchester United are going to have Cunha coming in to pre-season, and there's going to be no Lindelof, Evans or Christian Eriksen. That's it. That's Ruben's start to pre-season. Not much when you look at it in terms of completed deals. There is a lot going on behind the scenes, but that's what fans are not accepting right now. The fact that Manchester United, I feel, are holding out for so long for Bryan Mbeumo tells me that they're not happy with what Brentford is saying. That's what we've said. Douglas Luiz in the midfield has been discussed, I think, is because they may have to move across to different targets. Watkins is clear for me in proof that we're not going to get Victor Gyökeres or Victor Osimhen. And the Prem-proven players have come to the fore in Manchester United's main target as well. They're what I have picked out in this first month of the transfer window. We're not going to buckle. We want proven players. We're not going to overpay. And we're not going to take low-ball offers for our players. That's what I've learned from the opening month of this transfer window. And whether or not that works towards the back end and the last 2 months now in July and August, we will see. But United have got a lot of work to do in terms of giving Ruben what he wants. Marcus Rashford, I am fully understanding of United needing to make weight and actually cut some of his wages off just to get him out of the door, to give Ruben the money that he needs. I'll let United deal with that. To be honest, all we're bothered about as a fan base is that United get Ruben the players he needs and get rid of the players that he doesn't want. How they get it done, I don't think anybody's too bothered in the end. They just want it. They want it done and moving forward. I think this is the biggest thing. United are concentrating on getting these deals done and the best of them for them financially. The fans are looking in on it and saying nothing's happening. When it is, we know it is, but again, the criticism is going to keep on mounting up and getting more severe as we go forward. Right, I will come back to all of these stories again towards the back end of the show, everybody. But moving on, Manchester United apparently do have an interest in Fabian Ruiz. Honestly, there's some ridiculous stories going out there. If United sign Fabian Ruiz, I'll wear a Man City shirt. Not going to happen. I'm just going to say it now. There are some stories that I will talk about in detail that I think are worth talking about. Fabian Ruiz to United? Come on. Seriously? It's not going to happen. He's got 2 years left on his PSG contract. So straight away, the word PSG coming into the equation there puts shivers down your spine. You don't want to be negotiating with them for one of their best players. He's just won the Champions League. He isn't going to want to come to United because we're not in Europe. Why would a Champions League winner come to a club that's not in Europe? And you say, well, maybe we're going to go for him next year then when he's a year down on his contract. They will still want a fee, just like Brentford do right now for Bryan Mbeumo, and he will be into his 30s. He turns 30 this season. United are not going to spend money on a 30-year-old to the extent of what PSG want for Fabian Ruiz. There's too many Luiz and Ruizes going on right now, isn't there? It's getting confusing, but no, come on, seriously. Anyone who thinks that is a genuine story, you are clutching, I would say, on that one. There's no way that he would go to United at this stage of his career, to an uncertain club that's on a rebuild with no European football, from winning the Champions League. The only reason he would go to United is if we were offering him an absolute pay packet and a half, and United are not doing that anymore under the new structure. So where I look at Rios, where I look at Douglas Luiz, Fabian Ruiz, that is a ridiculous story. That is never going to come about. Never in a million years. I could probably see Ruiz having a better chance of going to the Saudi Pro League than Man United. That's what I think anyway. One big pay packet. He's won everything he can win. He's won every single domestic trophy with PSG. He's won the Champions League. Obviously, he's won umpteen medals with Spain as well. Do you know, it's like, why would you come to United? It makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever. So when it comes to midfield options, Douglas Luiz over Fabian Ruiz, yeah, the players in different qualities, and Ruiz is miles better in my opinion. But the reality tells us that Manchester United are just not in a position to even bid for Fabian Ruiz. So let's just leave that one completely on that shelf, out of the way, because he is not coming to Manchester United. I'm confident in saying that as well. Xavi Simons would suit us better than Mbeumo. He is a natural playmaker that will open up the defence, and he is only 22 years old, so has resale value and longevity. He's going to be upwards of 60 million again on a player that's unproven and he's young. United, I do get how they would be going for younger players, and we have been linked with Xavi Simons before, and I get that one, Almac, but I don't think United would go for him. I don't think he's better than Bryan Mbeumo either, by the way. I think we get more out of Bryan Mbeumo's contract than we would out of Xavi Simons. I really do. Talking about longevity and things like that, we want players that are going to have an impact now. And Bryan Mbeumo would give United 6 years of impact. That's massive. That's worth the money all day long for me. 65 million, get that done. If you were saying Xavi Simons at 65 and Mbeumo at 65 million, it's Bryan Mbeumo all day long. And on a Sunday. There's not a chance that would go the other way. In desperation, or not desperation, say for instance Bryan Mbeumo didn't happen, you could maybe look at it that way. People are talking about Dumfries and his release clause and everything like that. United are not going to go for Dumfries. I'll just cut cold water on that one as well. There's no way that United are going to go for him, I don't feel. Again, a position that Manchester United have looked at and brought players in for already. I don't see it. I really don't see it. Anyone asking about the shirt, again, the link is there in the live chat for you. Grab any of your jerseys, Manchester United shirts from past to present on the website there. This is a retro training kit one. There are all sorts like this as well, special edition shirts as well on there, really cheap, and a load of the new stuff coming out through all different clubs as well on there. So go and check it out, everybody. That is your shirt link right there in the live chat. And if you're watching later on, it's in the description as well. Check it out. Really decent deals on there, really cheap. Let's see what else we've got into the comment section. Brentford are trying to get that divorce settlement from Manchester United, says Tavio. Rubber says United will buy Mbeumo for 70 million and the instalments will change to maybe 4 years. I just can't see United spending 70 million on Mbeumo. I really don't. Look, there is proof in what you say there that Manchester United have paid more, but are only going to do it if they can spread the cost out. What suits them? With United, it's always about the instalments. It's always about the annual affordability for Manchester United. Never mind the actual transfer fee. We've spoken about this before. If Brentford want more money, United are going to get that payment settled over longer term. It's a good comment to make, actually, and it is valid because United did do this with Joshua Zirkzee already. So good comment on that one, buddy. What about Kluivert, 30-45 million? If Mbeumo deal goes south, nah, not for me. I don't like Kluivert, to be honest. I think he's very inconsistent. And if you're comparing him to Mbeumo, night and day, all day long, it isn't, for me, worth it. I don't think he's the right type of player. But you're completely different now. You're back Sorry, I'm just going to read this comment out here because I like to balance things out. So this is someone having a go at me. Adam, your rant after we lost to Spurs give me hope that the fans had finally woken up to see the truth of our club. But you're completely different now. You're backing our owners on board every day. Have I? Have I backed them? No, I've not. I've not backed the Glazers once. So, idiotic comment. Sorry, mate. Again, I'm going to have to shut that down. And I'm saying what's happening right now in front of me. All I'm saying is what's happening out there. And if United want to stand their ground on deals, they stand their ground on deals. I haven't backed anybody. I've not backed anything. I've said I'm going to see out the window and see where we're at. Get your facts right, mate. I do like to balance it out and give some numpties the opportunity to actually have a go at me as well. Because it's not all about my opinion, like I said. But like I always say, if you're going to have a go, you're going to have to come back with better than that. Organised Chaos. What a great name that is. Aston Villa paid 33 million for Ollie Watkins when he was 24 years old. If he was 28 million, potential 5 add-ons, and making it 33 million, it's a good deal. It's a good deal. They did get they did get a good player there. United, Andy Mitten said last night, we're in at that point for Ollie Watkins, and they didn't follow through with it. Again, just shows you what Manchester United were actually dealing with. Just shows you what Manchester United were like back in the day under a different management altogether. Idiotic, absolute chaos, absolute chaos. Thank you again, everyone who has liked the video. I get over 500 likes now. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Let's just check through a few more chats. Make sure I've got everything covered. United Till I Die. Welcome to the Members Club. Love that. Thank you, mate. Greg with a super chat says, I don't think it reflects badly on us if Bryan Mbeumo falls through. People do stupid stuff like this at the end of negotiations all the time. Proud of us walking, says Greg. Yeah, I mean, get your other comments in on that as well there. Greg's obviously kickstarted something there with his super chat in terms of, are you happy? Would you be pleased if Manchester United walked away from this deal because we don't want to overpay for a player? That's what we've got to look at in this one. I don't have a problem with giving the owners a chance to change the culture at the club. We have to understand that there will be short-term pain. We might have to walk away from players we want. We have to start setting a different standard. It's a great comment there from A again. Man United Realist says, morning Adam, according to my conversation with Alfredo Padula, I'm on my channel, United are not interested in any Douglas Luiz or Vlahovic swap. United have Rios and Edison as prime targets. I know, mate, but honestly, the stories coming about are going to continue to come about. Like Alfredo Padula will say one thing, and then another journalist will say another thing. It's who is right in this situation. Rios, I think, is a target for United, but I don't think we will buy him, honestly, because I don't think he's proven enough. I think if the deal's right, United think that they can get him for the right price, yes, we're in. If it starts to go north of 20 million, I don't see United going for it. Just from what's actually happened. Just from what's happened. Should we take a punt on Tolu? Again, it's an unproven player, which I don't think we're going to go for. Yeah, he might be 6'6", Al, but again, where has he played? The Belgium league, for Genk. That's not really a player that Manchester United, if you look at what we're talking about here with the need for proven players and not making a mistake again, that I don't think is where United are going. I don't see United making this at all. It wasn't me making that comment before you think it was, says Les. No, mate. I know it wasn't you, pal. Thanks for that as well, mate. No, it was someone, some numpty again, but you get it. Just to prove the point regarding the Bryan Mbeumo situation and this mystery bid from Spurs again. I've said this a few times on the show now. They've just had a bid rejected of 50 million for Mohamed Kudus. So that's a player that has a longer contract, and you could arguably say has a few more years behind him as well that Spurs have bid for. Not Mbeumo. They are not in for Bryan Mbeumo. Brentford are trying to get more money out of Manchester United at the latter stage. They know that they want this deal done before Ruben Amorim brings back pre-season training. Brentford will know what all of us know. They listen to the same things. They know the same reports. They are pushing on Manchester United because they know that they want to back Ruben Amorim and they're under pressure to get deals done. So they're going to try and rinse every single penny out of Manchester United coming to the back end of this deal or these negotiations. That's it. And they're happy to sit there, it would seem. But what they're also doing here is unsettling a player that he's also got to come back to pre-season training that doesn't now clearly not want to be there, with a new manager in situ who needs to spend money to rebuild his squad. And the longer this goes on, I think it's the worst it could get for Brentford more than Manchester United, to be honest. I really do. All right, let's get some more comments in on what we think about Douglas Luiz then. In this actual midfield situation at the moment, Manchester United's midfield targets, obviously you've got the likes of Hayden Hackney, then you've got Edison, then you've got Adam Wharton, you've got Douglas Luiz, you've got Paulinho, you've got Richard Rios. These are the players that Manchester United have been linked with in midfield. Who is your preferred midfield target as a Manchester United fan? Who would you go for? Get into the comments section on that and getting some great comments in there as well at the moment in the comments section. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, Adam, I am certainly cheerleading for Ineos. No, I'm not. That's just your opinion of it, and you're welcome to it, Lee. I can guarantee you I'm not. I'm just stating the obvious. They have put a lot more work in. They have invested more money than the Glazers have ever done. Yes, they're upping the ticket prices. I've mentioned all of this, but people want to have a go at me because they need someone to blame. Like, I'm not to blame. If you're not willing to accept the obvious and accept what's in front of you and the facts, then that's on you, I'm afraid. But your opinion is valid just as much as mine. Don't worry about that. Quick one out here as well. On instructions of Jason Wilcox, academy teams will not be required to play with a back-free system, as Wilcox wants the youth teams to focus on developing high-quality talent rather than imitating the first-team system. So that's changed as well from when Ten Hag was in situ. They're not playing the same style of football. They want to develop individual talents. So this, I think, is more an emphasis on getting players from the academy and bringing them into the first team, and the academy not so much winning trophies and winning competitions at the academy. Of course, that is great, and you want to do that, but the whole purpose of the academy is to bring players through into the first team, and they need to develop them the best way that they can develop. So rather than being stringent, I think in what this is said here, this has come from Laurie Whitwell again, Manchester United and the coaches in the academy will be given the freedom to operate and train the players how they want into whatever system that they want. It's not going to be the same. They're not going to be playing free at the back. Some would argue that is a disadvantage to them players, not learning the system. Some would say it might help them develop a bit quicker, which I think is the point of that one there, that comment actually, sorry, that piece there from Laurie, and what United's approach is to the academy. It's let these players develop the best way they can in the most comfortable situation they can, like the comfortable positions and formations that they can. Cosmo says, I like Wharton, Baleba and Edison. Edison's always going to be top of my list, to be honest. I've always said this, and I've always been banging the Edison drum from the get-go. I understand the Prem proven side. I like Wharton. I would jump at the opportunity to get Wharton, but he's going to be the most expensive midfielder that we go for. And I always said I think that that's a deal that maybe comes next season for United, if we get this season right. So bringing in Douglas Luiz, for instance, to Manchester United this summer would be, I think, just to get us through this season and help us out. And if we do get back into Europe next season, Casemiro is gone, and then you might bring someone like Wharton in as well next summer. That would be my ideal plan. But obviously, if we can get one of these midfielders this summer, go all in for that midfielder, 100%. I wanted our first choices in, but looks like that may not happen apart from Cunha. I just hope we get some good B and C choices and academy players that come through. And that's from Andrew. Mr Dasha Sandero said Douglas Luiz's time on the sidelines was mainly caused by muscle fatigue and a hamstring injury. I don't think there is anything to worry about here. The rotation makes this an easy option for me. It's a good point again. I said this bit earlier on. We're not expected to play as many games next season. Douglas Luiz could be a great stopgap for now, says Daniel. Look, if Douglas Luiz is the right price and he's Prem proven, this is where United are going. This is why we're looking at Ollie Watkins. This is why all of these types of players are being discussed by Manchester United at the moment. It's because they've got that Prem proven factor. And that's what Ruben wants. He knows the problem that he's got at Manchester United. And he's told the board what he wants. I think there's going to be a load of deals that just go bang, 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 bang and get done dead quickly altogether. I think that's where I think that's what's going to happen this window. We need a ball player in the central midfield, someone who can dictate games but is physical. We always buy players who are good at one thing in central midfield and not good at everything. Do we think that Luiz is that player? I've seen him do it for Villa. I think he does fit the bill there. Does Rios do it? I think he's got the skill, he's got the physicality, he's got the speed, he's got everything apart from the experience. Can we nurse him in with what we've already got? If the price is right, we could, but it's not as much of a guarantee. They're edging towards the guaranteed players, Manchester United, more than anything now, I feel. I just don't see United going out buying. I'm pretty much, when Andy Mitten said that last night, I'm pretty much on with what Andy Mitten said there. I think it is Manchester United looking for players that are ready to go now. You've just got no questions about them. That's where United are at. Wharton Rios says, Colin, Bruno is going to be the ball-playing midfielder, says Adam. We need a new T-lady, says Mags. We need a complete restructure. We do. Everyone stressing that everything's going to happen this window. It's a rebuild, 2 or 3 windows. It was always the case for the years of poor management and neglect. Chill, people. We just got to hope that we have a better season next season. That's all. And yeah. So basically, we're becoming the new Villa. It's only 2 players, mate. Come on, it's not that bad. Boxer says his positioning at times is questionable. I can see the excuses now. I'm had on no pre-season with some players. That is a poor excuse as well, the no pre-season one, by the way. These players are fit and they can jump in at any point. It takes them 2 weeks to get up to speed, I feel. I'm not having the excuse. Please give the video a like if you haven't already, everybody. We're creeping up to the 600 live like mark. Absolutely brilliant morning show again, everyone. And obviously, make sure that you have hit that subscribe button as well to keep up to date completely with everything going on at the moment around Manchester United. I've got you covered. When the news is there, we will be covering it. So make sure that you've got your bell notifications switched on as well as your subscribe button. I'll hit the subscribe button, I should say. But I'm going to wrap things up there, everyone. Thank you so much. Fantastic show again. Great job, mods. Brilliant comments in again. Even the ones that are not agreeing with me, absolutely put across well. Love it. Thank you, everybody. It has been a good start to the day. Let's see what happens today. I've got you covered. No script at all. The videos could drop at any time, everybody. So make sure that you have got onto that subscribe button to make sure you're up to date with everything that does happen through the day. When there is news, we are live. When anything is going on, we've got videos and lives going up constantly. So make sure that you are up to date with everything on that. And I will see you all later on. Have a good one, everybody. And let's hope we do get some news later on. We need some positivity creeping in, don't we?